In this video, I'll talk about how I approach leadership and work. I want to start with a framework I heard about years ago that has helped me think about leadership. It's something I refer to as the AAA framework and deals with atmosphere, attitudes, and actions. Then I'll talk about what kind of atmosphere I want to create. So, first, I'm going to share a presentation here that I made to the design team at Folio in 2021 when I worked there as creative director. I'm sharing this exactly as I shared it internally at the time. This was created alongside company leadership and shared with the design team. I'll try to go through this quickly. I won't get into all the details. I'll talk about each slide. So this first slide was basically showing that we should think about these things holistically and individually. They all sort of affect each other. So with actions, these are the everyday tasks that the design team works on and the processes by which we execute them. So important questions here were what design tools should we use? How long will this task take? How do we keep track of our tasks? Who's working on what? What new tools might we use? I think this is relatively easy to measure. We can look at Asana. We used Asana at the time to measure our tasks and see how we were doing executing these actions. When we get into attitudes, you start to think a little bit more strategically about um, how we're thinking and feeling about our work. And the important questions here to consider are how do we measure success on our team? What do we do when we're stuck? Is the team feeling burnout? Are we not challenged enough? Are we working together? Are we helping one another? Do we have a sense for how each other likes to work and prefers to work? What are our individual strengths and weaknesses? I think this is harder to measure. It's also more difficult to change your attitudes than your actions. And at the time, I proposed that we would do this through conversations and eventually documentation. But the atmosphere is the culmination of our attitudes and actions. If we create the right atmosphere, our attitudes and our actions will be affected positively. And importantly, this doesn't mean that if we create the right atmosphere, everything's going to be perfect. But the point here is that the right atmosphere can have a positive impact on our actions and our attitudes. So, important questions here. What do we value? Why do we value those things? Should we be a remote culture? That was an important question for us at the time. Do we answer emails at midnight? Uh, if I'm a leader and I answer emails at midnight, no matter what I tell my team, they're going to probably do the same thing. I think this is very hard to measure, but it's something that sort of undeniable, and I think would be evidenced by the consistent quality of our output. So as we move through this framework, we transcend and include each step. So you can't think about attitudes without considering actions. Um, and this slide is just meant to show the different levels of the design career within Folio and how you could kind of level up. And as creative director, my responsibility is to think about all of these things: the atmosphere, attitudes, and actions. And then I mapped out our team. We didn't have a senior designer at the time, but I mapped out our team here, and I may rethink this today and how I would share this with the team. But what I was trying to get to at the time was to show that Ivy can level up into, taking my job at some point or becoming the CEO if she wanted to. And as she does that, um, she has more of a responsibility to think about more and more things and transcend and include all these steps. So that is the AAA framework presentation that I shared back then. I think it's a sound and helpful framework that's not perfect, but I do still stand by it. So let's talk now today about what kind of atmosphere I want to create. Well, I want to work in an atmosphere and foster one that has psychological safety, where we can be honest with one another and talk about failures as well as successes. I want to foster an atmosphere that recognizes individuality and has a culture of excellence. I want to see people do the very best work of their careers. In this video, to wrap up, I'm going to talk specifically about recognizing individuality. So, I'm a sports guy. I'll use a baseball metaphor, but anyone can follow this, even if you're not a sports fan like me. The player in center field in the top middle of this photo can run fast and cover wide areas, and he has a strong arm to be able to throw long distances. The player at second base in the far right of this photo depends more on quickness across a smaller area and pinpoint accuracy in his throws. They have different roles, but they work together as a team. We have to realize that we all have different skills, work styles, motivations, and personal journeys. All of this affects our work. Even if we create the right atmosphere, there's no guarantee that we won't run into challenges. At Folio, one of our designers, Sarah, was going through a lot personally. She's from Colombia, and at the time, she was trying to get her green card. It was an intense and unpredictable process that we all learned a lot about. Sarah was able to share this freely with the team, and that was important. It certainly affected her work. And we were able to take some things off her plate so she could focus on more important matters. I certainly don't think everyone has to share their personal lives at work. I think a part of celebrating individuality is also respecting boundaries. But I want to create an environment where we can talk about who we are as individuals and be open about how this affects our jobs. Another crucial component of atmosphere for me is creating a culture of excellence. And I'll talk more about that in the next video.